So we're reminiscing about the origin of our work, Untangling,
Yeah.
how it really started before it started with
Hmm.
inner relationship focusing, which is already a process of trusting that everything you find inside is somehow on its way to being
Alive,
more fully alive,
free,
free. And
available.
we learned this from Eugene Genlin, who wrote in his book,
Mm.
nothing that feels bad is ever the last step. So for
I
him,
remember how incredibly freeing that was for me. There was so many. That was an amazing little book. I learned so much from that book. Including a confidence that paying attention to, sensing what was there, however it was, would bring a next step, could bring a next step. And that sustained me through a lot of stuff. And it wasn't quite enough either, which is why we needed to develop more things, more ways, more processes, more methods.
but our process itself is what called us to develop what we had to develop. And we had the great good fortune of knowing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in those first few weeks when I confessed my drinking issue with you, and you said, let's do focusing. And you said to me, maybe there's a part of you that wants to drink. And that alone really sorts things out. It it helped me realize that there was also a part of me terribly scared about the part that wanted to drink, and that I wasn't that one either.
Mm-hmm.
That was already amazing. And then the next focusing process, I mean, is that enough? Can we just say there's this part and this part? No, there's obviously got to be more than that. So somewhere came the idea of having a relationship with the part that wanted to drink. It's probably your idea, things usually are. And sensing what it wanted for me from drinking.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that every behavior, no matter how
Bizarre.
out of control, unconventional, must have a life affirming purpose for the organism, at least in a warped way.
Yeah. And it gets warped because it can't do it in a direct way.
Uh-huh.
If it could do it in a direct way, if it was simply you living your life freely, it wouldn't have gone that way. So, one of the things that really helped me with parts was realizing they do what is possible and they can only do what is possible. So, if something is impossible, a way of relating or being or living in the world is impossible, they still have to do something. And so they do these kind of twisted, warped, constrained things. And so the drinking was something that you could do. You could go out the door. You had already watched somebody else do that kind of thing before,
I can.
and you're dead. And so that was available and possible. But to live freely was not possible.
Yeah. And so when I turned toward the part that wanted to drink and wanted, what's the next step? And you suggested sensing what it wanted for me
from
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 drinking.
drinking.
And that I said, okay, let's try. And
What
it,
the hell?
yes,
What do
it
we got to lose here?
like that. Kind of feels like that. It's experimental. Let's try this because it can't hurt. But it was amazing what happened. This,
Yeah.
this is a part I couldn't even feel in my body at first, but by taking time, spending time, and already assuming it existed somewhere, I began to be able to feel it and be aware of it enough so that I could tell I was listening to it. I wasn't just making up things.
Yeah.
And it let me know that what it wanted for me was to be relaxed very quickly and have access to a lot of creative energy. Like I often wrote poetry when I was drunk. And
Good poetry too. I mean, I gotta say, your drunkard was actually a really great poet.
oh yeah, because a door opened that wasn't open
Yeah.
at times. And it wanted me to be able to be spontaneous. Same kind of thing, okay, I'm writing a poem, let's just write down that word instead of agonizing for 20 minutes about whether it's the right word. Go with it. And this a quality of sensuality that it wanted for me, that I could. Then I realized, wait a minute, those were all things I wasn't somehow allowing access to. Another part
Yeah.
in my,
Undoubtedly.
like I could get there when I was drinking, and I couldn't get there when I wasn't. But we had the next step, and I think you said something like, well, notice what it wants you to feel in your body from sensuality, creativity, relaxation, spontaneity. And I began to feel it at that moment. Like,
And
yeah.
and that was a kind of an amazing recognition, an amazing acknowledgement that what it's even what it's wanting for you can actually be available without the strategies that it has been using. It's been using the strategy of getting drunk to be able to help you experience certain kinds of feelings in your body. And it is actually possible to go directly to those. Like, whoa, that's interesting. Never would have thought that.
No, and it didn't come from a theory. It came from actually trying things, learning from the process itself what it needed. And that was really life-changing. I began
Yeah.
to be more spontaneous and creative, and I would even say goofy. Not so held in, not so tight.
Mm,
I began to let things come without being drunk. And it
yeah.
wasn't instant, but over time, the part that wanted to drink completely went away,
Yeah. Which is amazing.
which is amazing. Well, we have a lot more amazing things to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to do it in a live webinar where
Yeah.
you're already signed up for it. So join us live, ask us your questions, and we'll tell you the method and get you started on it and tell you about how to connect with us even more. So, anything else before we stop?
I'm so glad that we have learned all that we have learned over the years. I'm so glad that we have developed and refined and elaborated all of the method that so many people are finding really useful and helpful. And I really do want as many people in the world to get this for themselves so that they can have that amazing experience of, I don't have to be tied up in inner battles. I don't have to be pushed around by particular strategies. That it's free. That I can live so much more freely. I live so much more freely than I used to. Yeah. And I do. I want that for people.
We want
So,
that. And
yeah.
it does work. So we want it for you too.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in our live webinar and give you as
Yeah.
much as we can there. Very
See
good.
you there.